And then the other direction. Drawing both quads in towards the hips. The left thigh moving outward as you extend that left thigh through the knee. Hi, everybody. Welcome to some basic chair yoga. You'll need a chair and a block for this practice today. So get that together and we'll get started.
Make it routine.
Okay, so start seated near the edge of your chair and find your weight on your sits bones, the bony parts at the bottom of your pelvis. And place your feet flat on the mat and allow your weight to release through your sits bones into the chair, down through your legs, and through your feet and into the floor. Rest your hands on your thighs or hold on to the edge of the chair if that's helpful for you. And taking your tail back, arc the lumbar spine forward and then the thoracic spine forward and look up gently. And then rolling the hip and taking the tail forward, the lumbar spine moves back, the thoracic spine moves back, and let the head and shoulders release downward. Now reversing that motion back into a seated cow pose, tail back, spine rolls forward up through the vertebrae one by one. Look up gently, and then tail forward. And the vertebrae each move backward one by one. And the head and shoulders release forward. So a basic cow and simple cat, warming up the spine, not pushing too deeply into each direction. Just warming up the spine and hips and gently into the shoulders here. Back and forth. Cow, cat. Rocking on the pelvis, back to front, back of the sits bones, forward of the sits bones. Adding in your breath, inhaling on cow, exhaling on cat. And let's do a few more. Three, and two, and one. And let's come back to that neutral spine. Our weight releasing through the sits bones into the chair and through the legs and feet and into the floor. Now take the rib cage out in front of the pelvis and then circling around one direction over the pelvis to the side, back, the other side, and then ribs moving in front of the pelvis again. Continuing to make circles with your rib cage around the pelvis. One direction, rib and hip circles. Let's do a few more. And two, and one. Now reverse the direction. Rib cage moving to the side, the front, the side, and the back of the pelvis. Rolling the rib cage around the perimeter of the pelvis. A few more. And 3, 2, 1. And back to neutral spine. Weight moving through the sits bones into the chair. Now rolling the shoulders. Let's go backwards first. Gentle roll of the shoulders. Not deep backstroke at this point. Just gentle rolls of the shoulders. And breathing. A few more. And 3, 2, 1. And forward stroke. Gentle rolls of the shoulders. A few more. And 3, 2, 1. And release. Now, rolling the ankles, you have some options here. You can use the block to rest your heel on. Pull that into a comfortable place where you can roll the ankle with your heel resting on the block. Or if it's good for you, you can cross the legs. That works for your hips and roll the ankles. Or you can keep your left leg foot flat on the floor and draw your right lower leg on top of the left leg, resting it there to rotate that foot. And let's do that while we're rotating the wrist as well. So one direction. And go the other direction. Now let's change. If your leg is up this far, the ankle is up this far on your leg, give it some assistance with your hands to remove that leg. And again, for the other ankle, you can use the block, rest the heel on the block to roll the ankle, cross the legs if that feels good for your hips and roll the ankle, or bring the lower ankle, lower part of the leg, the ankle on top of the grounded right leg to roll that ankle one direction. Again, going that way with your one direction with your hands along with the ankle. And then the other direction. All right. And gently release that foot and leg back to the floor. Let's bring the block to the side of your chair. Let's go with your right side and find that neutral spine again where you're on top of the sits bones, balanced in the middle of the front and the back, and allowing the weight to move down through your spine, into the sits bones, into the chair, through your legs and feet and into the floor. Take your right hand to the chair and your left arm up. Keep the shoulders down and wide. Breathe in. And exhaling, engage the quads and arc over to the right. And breathe in again. Let the shoulders be wide and strong quads. Keep strong quads here to keep both sits bones anchored into the chair. Inhaling and exhaling. And if it's good for you, you can take your hand to the top of your block for some support as you arc over further. Both shoulders moving away from the ears, widening through the collarbones, quads engaged, and lengthening the left to the side body. Inhale, exhale, engaged abs bring you back to neutral spine. Let the left arm come down. Let's move the block to the other side. And left hand to the side of the chair. Engage the quads, draw them into your hips for support. Bring the right arm up, shoulders remain down and wide. Breathe in. And exhaling, strong quads and low abs engage as you arc towards the left, lengthening tail away from the crown of the head. So the spine is lengthening as we bend it. Inhale. Exhaling, lengthening on the right side body. Engage the quads. If you choose to, take your left hand to block for support. Both shoulders moving away from the ears. Inhaling, exhaling, lengthening the right side of the spine. Inhaling and exhaling. And then breathe in and engage as you exhale and come back to neutral spine and bring the left arm down. Inhaling, exhaling, take your left hand to right thigh and right hand to the back side of your chair seat and breathe in and exhale. Take the belly towards the right. You won't see much movement of the torso the first time, but just engage the right side of the body for support of a lengthened spine. Inhaling, exhaling, continuing to move the belly to the right. Begin to assist with your hands and turning the upper torso gently to look back over your right shoulder. Inhaling and exhaling. And look with your eyes as you twist to the right gently, not pulling too intently. Do most of this twist with the strength of your abs. Inhaling, exhaling, unwind first your eyes and head. And take that back to forward as the chest follows. And then finally, the belly unwinds. Give that a second for the lower spine to completely unwind and ground. Come back into neutral spine. Inhaling, exhaling, taking the left hand to the back side of your seat and the right fingertips to left thigh. Exhaling, engage the left side of the abs towards the left. Inhaling, exhaling, continue support to support a long spine with the left side of the abs moving towards the left. And assist with your hands as the chest follows, the shoulders widening away from each other. And looking back gently, don't tug too deeply. And look with your eyes all the way behind you. Inhaling and exhaling as you twist from the root up through the spine to the skull to your left. Inhaling, exhaling, and unwind. Bring your head back to center. And then the chest and shoulders. And then the lower spine as it makes its way back to a neutral spine. And then one more. Stretch, subtle twist. Now, let's place the block on the floor in front of your right foot as you scoot yourself out to the edge of your seat. Hold on to the front corners of your seat for support if you need. And extend your left leg, drawing both quads in towards the hips. Let your right knee flop outward. Scoot the block out a little bit. And we're mimicking a head to knee pose, a Janu Sirsasana, but seated on a chair, drawing both quads in, not hyperextending that knee backward, not too far. Let it remain easeful, not collapsing backward. And taking the low belly to the thigh, keeping the spine long as you take tail away from the crown of the head. Bring the belly to thigh. Make sure your chair is firmly gripped to the floor. That's why mine is on the mat. And using the block for support, you can turn it either direction that works for you. As the right thigh falls outward, both quads engaged, belly to thigh. You can bring the belly down to the thigh a little more, widen through the shoulders. If it works for you, You can take your hands to the floor as well. The left foot is flexed, but yet placing some pressure through the balls of the foot right here. Extending, lengthening the hamstrings. Inhaling, exhaling, using whatever support you need, blocks or hands to floor. You can release the head. And stretch. Inhaling, look up. Exhaling, use the block. Hands to block, then hands to thighs. Engage the quads and abs to lengthen the torso back up. So we're not rounding the spine back up. A nice, long, lengthened spine comes back to vertical, using the engagement of the abs for support to do so. Now, switching feet for a head to knee, a Janu Sirsasana on the other side, extending the right leg and letting the left thigh turn outward, engaging the quads so that you don't collapse the right knee. You want it to remain soft, not hyperextended backward. Anchoring yourself with the quads drawn in, taking the lower part of the belly to the thigh first. The right foot is flexed, yet some extension going through the balls of the foot, lengthening the spine as you bend at the hip joint, using the blocks for support as needed. Inhaling and exhaling. Quads engaged, drawing in towards the hips. The left thigh moving outward as you extend that left thigh through the knee, leveling those hips, using the floor or the block for support, whatever works for you. Not pushing or pulling too deeply into the stretch. And releasing the head and shoulders as you can do so. Only if the pose is fully supported with quad strength and arm strength as needed. And then inhale, look up. Place your hands on the block, thighs, engaging quads and abs as you use the strength of the quads and abs to lift your long torso back up to neutral spine. And then moving the block out of your way, let's come into a modified easy pose in a chair. One foot, whichever you choose, out in front of the other, both knees bent and knees allowed to rest outward, thighs resting outward. You come to find that place on the sits bones where you can release your weight yet maintain a balanced, neutral spine. And take a moment and ground here, allowing your weight to move through your body into what supports you beneath you. Bring your hands to Anjali Mudra, Namaste hands. And I hope that's good for you so that you can get on with your day and make it an even better day. See you in our next practice.